Good morning, delegates. I would ask delegates to take their seats because we would like to start in a few minutes. And as a reminder for the conveners, we will be doing reporting back first up. So if conveners could be ready to provide your reports, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Good morning, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to OEWG48 and our fourth day. We still have a few items on our agenda that we need to address, and we'll be doing that this morning. But firstly, we would like to get a report back from the groups that met on day 3 and from this morning. So first off, I would like to get a report back from the informal group on TEEP and TOC organisation. That's under agenda item 4. And can I see if I can see already that Heidi from Germany is ready to give the report back. Heidi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Yesterday, during lunchtime, me and Camilla Noel co-facilitated the informal group on options for reorganization of the TEEP and its TOCs. We used the time for discussion, clarifications from TEEP, and also some ideas brought forward by the UK already in the plenary were discussed. At the end, parties had a preference to continue discussions and elaborating more during this meeting. However, we know it might be challenging to find more time. If that is the case, it is at least important for parties to keep the agenda point open and to continue discussions at the MOP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heidi. And indeed, we will try our best to find another hour for your group to meet. I now turn to Agobi for the next agenda item.
Thank you very much, Annie, and good morning, delegates. We will now get a report back from the contact group on strengthening the Montreal Protocol. The group had its first meeting last night, and I tend to either Liana or Paul to give us an update. I see Paul has requested the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. As this is the first time that I talk as Austrian delegate in this plenary, let me thank the Thai government for hosting this meeting and for this special hospitality we're receiving. And also, I would also sincerely like to thank the Ozone Secretariat for the excellent preparation. In relation to yesterday's meeting, we had a first round. We have been given 2 CRPs to deal with. It was the CRP3, the proposal by the African group, and the CRP4 by a proposal on strengthening and data reporting and preventing illegal trade. We had a first discussion on the first part, the CRP3. We went through the through the operative paragraphs and had a discussion about the requests to the Ozone Secretariat on whether those requests would be, whether the Ozone Secretariat would be the right institution to be dealing with this request, or whether those should be taken up at the national level or with UNEP DTIE under the CAP program, or at the level of the MLF and the executive committee. We also had a reflection on one or the other paragraph that would be overlapping with some ideas we are having in CRP4. So altogether, CRP3 needs further consideration and discussion, and now we would be ready at our next group meeting to walk through CRP4 to deal with those items in detail. So I would request at least 1 more hour today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. The progress is noted, and indeed we will try to find some more time for the group to meet, and this will be announced on the screens. I hand over to my co-chair, Annie.
Thank you very much, Igobi. We now come to agenda item 3, which is the discussions on the TEEP replenishment report and the contact group that is meeting. They have actually met 4 times now, and I would like to request either Mirusa from the Maldives or Ralph from the Netherlands to give a report back on their extensive consultations. I see Mirusa has asked for the floor. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, and a very good morning. The 4th day of the meeting, the contact group also has met 4 times. And we thank you for the time allocated to facilitate our work. We have started with suggestions for additional analysis to be included in the supplementary report, and the discussions have been constructive but still ongoing. So we would like to request additional time for the contact group to continue its discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marisa. And of course, we will find time for your group to meet again. Also under agenda item 3, delegates will note that CRP2 Rev 1 submitted by Cuba is available on the portal. And I would like to turn to Cuba now to introduce the CRP. Cuba, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora copresidenta. Realmente el texto que estamos presentando, como su título lo plantea, el proyecto de decisión sobre la revisión de las directrices de costos para la reducción gradual de los HFC en el marco del Fondo Multilateral para la aplicación del Protocolo de Montreal. Este documento consta de 3 párrafos preambulares que, por supuesto, hacen mención al texto que nos referimos, el documento que preparó el TIP, y en su decisión incluye un párrafo inicial que concluye solicitando la preparación de un documento para su examen en la primera reunión que sostenga el Comité Ejecutivo en 2027, que resuma los posibles desafíos de implementación que enfrentan los países de bajo y muy bajo consumo para cumplir con sus obligaciones de reducción gradual de los HFC. Su segundo párrafo solicita identificar las actividades preparatorias que podrían llevarse a cabo para apoyar el desarrollo de estrategias de reducción gradual de los HFC en la etapa 2, planes de implementación de Kigali para estos países. Y en su último punto, número 3, presenta posibles metodologías de financiación, incluidos niveles de apoyos reforzados para atender las necesidades específicas e inmediatas de los países de bajo y muy bajo consumo en la preparación de la etapa 2 de sus planes de reducción gradual de los HFC. Realmente, el informe confirma que los países de bajo y muy bajo consumo enfrentan una barrera estructural para cumplir con la enmienda de Kigali. Los costos fijos de implementación no son proporcionales a su consumo ni al financiamiento que reciben. Sin esto, si no corregimos esto, no se podrán cumplir con las etapas posteriores de reducción, poniendo en riesgo el éxito global del Protocolo de Montreal. Proponemos 4 ajustes concretos y viables: reconocer los costos fijos como partida separada, establecer piso mínimo de financiamiento, revisar en 28 las categorías y crear un programa específico de capacitación continua. Apoyar a los países más pequeños es asegurar que nadie quede atrás y que el Protocolo de Montreal siga siendo un modelo de cooperación internacional efectiva y equitativa. Muchas gracias, señora copresidenta.
Thank you very much, Cuba, for introducing your CRP. I would like to now open the floor for any immediate responses or views on the CRP and how we might manage our work in relation to it. I see that the Ireland for the EU has requested the floor. Ireland?
Thank you, Co-Chair. The EU and its member states would like to raise reservations regarding this proposal. Indeed, the replenishment report is only intended to enable the parties to adopt a decision on the appropriate level of the 2027 to 2029 replenishment of the multilateral fund for the implementation of the Montreal Protocol, as provided in the terms of reference accepted at MOP 37. The request therefore appears to be out of mandate on the use of the report, which does not cover informing future discussions of the EXCOM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, EU. I have Grenada on my list. If any other party would like to take the floor, please press your button. Grenada, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair, and good morning, colleagues. First of all, I want to thank the distinguished delegate from Cuba for presenting this very important CRP, and to state explicitly that Grenada is in full support of the intent of this CRP, and we say that on the basis of what we've experienced with stage 1 of the KIPS and the funding levels that have been approved. All of the LVC and VLVC countries are really struggling to maintain compliance and to conduct all of the implementation activities at the current funding level. We do recognize and appreciate the work that has been done in the replenishment contact group with regards to the work of the RFT in preparing this supplementary report and the considerations given to this very same issue. But we want to keep this issue alive and active because of the constraints that it poses to LVCs and VLVCs. And so the 3 operative paragraphs there are very appropriate for LVCs and VLVCs, notwithstanding the previous immediate reactions. We view this as a very important issue, and we would love to have the opportunity to have further engagement on this issue as we seek to find a common understanding and a common ground that will support LVCs and VLVCs in the full implementation of the KIPS. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Grenada. On my list now, I have Canada and Bahrain. Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, and we'd like to thank Cuba for this proposal. We don't dismiss the importance of this issue for many parties, but we agree with the intervention from the European Union. This is being proposed under Agenda Item 3, which is on the TIP replenishment report, which is provided in order to assist parties in having discussions on the replenishment level. And our usual practice at the OEWG is to provide additional guidance for the RTF, to provide a supplementary report, not to use the report to formulate specific requests for the executive committee. I would say that this issue generally is, in fact, already being addressed by the contact group on the replenishment report, in which we have seen several proposals that have been made about using the estimates made by the RTF in its report, estimates that relate specifically to low-volume consuming countries, and to provide guidance to the RTF to take those costs into account in the supplementary reports. This discussion and these negotiations are going on right now within that contact group. We're not sure where they're going to end up. If they do end up, being incorporated in the guidance, then we would want to see what the actual supplementary report is, what conclusions that it comes, and the estimated funding requirements. And then that's going to be considered within the replenishment. So I think until we go through that whole process, for us, it's we're not ready at this stage to actually ask the ExCom to consider consider this element, this specific element from the replenishment report until the discussions have fully been concluded, and then we'll see if it's something that's useful to be doing, perhaps at another meeting. So I would say to Cuba and others who are interested in this issue to engage within the process that we have at this meeting in terms of providing additional guidance to the RTF and to see how these concerns could be addressed in this context, at least at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Canada. I turn to Bahrain. You have the floor.
شكرا سيدة الرئيس المشاركة وأسعد الله صباحكم جميعا. أتقدم أولا بالشكر إلى المندوب الموقر من كوبا على تقديم ورقة العمل هذه، وهذا الوفد يرى أن هذه ورقة مهمة. كما نرى أن البلدان منخفضة الاستهلاك والمنخفضة جدا الاستهلاك تواجه تحديات خاصة في تنفيذ التخفيض التدريجي للهيدروفلوروكربونات HFCs تختلف بطبيعتها عن التحديات التي تواجهها البلدان ذات الاستهلاك المرتفع. فصغر حجم الاستهلاك لا يعني بالضرورة انخفاض تكاليف التنفيذ، إذ أن العديد من المتطلبات المؤسسية والتشريعية وبرامج التدريب وتعزيز قطاع الخدمة والصيانة تترتب عليها تكاليف ثابتة لا ترتبط مباشرة بحجم الاستهلاك. وقد أشار تقرير فريق العمل المعني بتجديد موارد الصندوق متعدد الأطراف إلى أن هذه التحديات مبينا أن هذه الفئة من البلدان قد تتحمل تكاليف تنفيذ أعلى نسبيا، الأمر الذي يستدعي إيلاءها اهتماما خاصا عند مراجعة إرشادات التكاليف الخاصة بتنفيذ تعديل كيغالي. ومن هذا المنطلق فإننا نؤيد أن تبدأ اللجنة التنفيذية في إعداد العمل التحليلي والفني بصورة مبكرة، بحيث تكون مراجعة إرشادات التكاليف في عام 2028 مبنية على معلومات وبيانات فنية متكاملة وعلى فهم واضح للتحديات الفعلية التي تواجه هذه البلدان. كما نرى أن العناصر الواردة في الفقرات الفرعية من المقترح تمثل أساساً مهماً، إذ ستسهم في تحديد التحديات التي تواجه البلدان منخفضة جداً للاستهلاك، كما تحدد الأنشطة التحضيرية اللازمة لإعداد المرحلة الثانية من خطة تنفيذ تعديل كيغالي، وكذلك دراسة منهجيات التمويل المناسبة التي يمكن أن تراعي احتياجاتها وظروفها الخاصة. وفي نفس الوقت نود التأكيد على أن هذا المقترح لا يستبق نتائج مراجعة إرشادات التكاليف ولا يقرر مسبقاً مستويات التمويل المستقبلية، وإنما يهدف فقط إلى تزويد اللجنة التنفيذية بالمعلومات والتحليلات الفنية اللازمة بما يمكن الأطراف من اتخاذ قرارات مستنيرة في الوقت المناسب. وعليه فإننا نؤيد هذا المقترح ونتطلع إلى مواصلة العمل مع جميع الأطراف لصقل النص بما يحقق أهدافه ويعزز قدرة هذه البلدان على تنفيذ التزاماتها بكفاءة وفعالية. شكرا سيادة الرئيس.
Thank you very much, Bahrain. On my list now, I have the United States and Trinidad and Tobago. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair, and thanks to the proponent for putting forward this proposal. Maybe I would just start by saying we agree with the points that were made first by the EU and then by Canada procedurally with regard to this decision and how it relates to this agenda item. I will say more broadly, we do understand the rationale for why a decision like this is coming forward. We understand there are challenges for LVCs and VLVCs. In fact, that's why we have a special funding modality for those particular countries rather than working off sort of the standard methodology of applying cost effectiveness factors that we use for most of the other Article 5 countries. So understand the importance of the issue, but this proposal is actually not germane to the issue that this agenda item is about, which is the replenishment of the multilateral fund. So at the meeting of the parties this year, we will presumably take a decision on the replenishment of the fund. And so this proposal in two ways just doesn't fit into how procedurally we take up this agenda item. First, it isn't really about the replenishment this year. It's about a request to the executive committee to undertake certain actions. And that does not really belong under an agenda item related to the replenishment. In addition, with respect to timing, any output from this decision is going to be produced long after the replenishment under this agenda item is agreed. And so I think, as Canada said, I think this issue, not this decision, but this issue, the issue is under discussion in the contact group that's actually talking about this agenda item and trying to come to a better understanding on a supplemental request to the RTF to provide us additional information by the time of the MOP to inform the parties in trying to have an ultimate decision on the replenishment. And so for those reasons, again, we understand the importance of the issue. It's been widely acknowledged, I think, in this forum with respect to support for LVCs and VLVCs. That's part of the reason we have a special funding model to provide enhanced support. But this particular proposal under this particular agenda item, it's simply not germane, and we do not support it being forwarded to the MOP for that specific reason. Thank you.
Thank you very much, United States. I give the floor to Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I will be brief this time. We thank Cuba for this draft proposal, this draft, and join Grenada and Bahrain in supporting it. We see real merit in this proposal. We also see texts that would benefit from further work. For that reason, we support the establishment of the contact group to develop the draft so that interested parties can refine the language and build convergence around it. We would note that the review of the cost guidelines is already under schedule under XCOM Decision 92/37, so a contact group would feed an existing process, not create a new one. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Trinidad and Tobago. Last on my list, I have Lesotho. If any other delegates wish to take the floor on this issue, please do so. Otherwise, we will propose a way forward after Lesotho speaks. Lesotho, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam, and good morning. We, of course, support Cuba on this agenda item because really, even if we, in most cases, we try to work based on the cost effectiveness, we also want to, we also have to look on the compliance issue also. Because a number of informal meetings that we held, it was clear that there's still a lot of gap left behind in terms of compliance. And then which, of course, according to this CRP from Cuba, we have seen that in terms of cost, we still have a lot of issues that we think are still left behind and which need, of course, to be supported. I therefore support Cuba in this case to make sure that we all come along to make sure that we are compliant and we remain compliant to the protocol. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lesotho. I now see Mexico. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señora copresidenta. Agradecemos también el trabajo de la delegación de Cuba en la preparación de este documento de sala y expresamos nuestra coincidencia con el espíritu atrás de esta propuesta. Evidentemente hay necesidades particularmente demandantes que son generalizadas para países de bajo y de muy bajo consumo, que ameritan atención en términos del apoyo que se les puede brindar para cumplir con sus compromisos ante el protocolo de Montreal. Pero hemos escuchado también con atención los comentarios expresados por diversas delegaciones en el sentido de cuál sería el mecanismo más apropiado para incorporar estas preocupaciones en los trabajos que estamos conduciendo durante nuestra reunión. Y por ello esperamos que podamos encontrar vías creativas para asimilar estas preocupaciones legítimas por parte de estos países, de manera tal que quede reflejado también en los trabajos muy valiosos que el equipo de tareas para la reposición del Fondo Multilateral están llevando adelante. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mexico. I see no other delegations wishing to take the floor. I'm just pausing in case another delegate wishes to take the floor. So give us a moment while we consult on the way forward. Thank you. Thank you very much. After hearing the interventions from the room, we did see and hear a lot of interest in the spirit of what Cuba has proposed, but some concerns about the process, about whether it should be discussed here in terms of the replenishment discussions and the contact group already underway to provide guidance to the replenishment task force. So we did not see any consensus to discuss the CRP at this meeting. We also heard a view that there was no consensus to forward the CRP to the meeting of the parties. So we urge countries who were interested in this issue to try and work within the replenishment contact group to incorporate the principles and the ideas in the CRP into the guidance for the task force. And we also ask Cuba to discuss with parties in the margins on a process in terms of trying to potentially look at some ideas for the future in terms of how to bring some draft decision forward in the future. So we will get a report back from Cuba at the end of the meeting on your consultations with other parties, but at this stage we are not comfortable, and I don't think there would be consensus to forward your CRP to the contact group. Is that an acceptable way forward for parties? Cuba, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señora copresidenta. Agradecemos a todas las partes que han intervenido, favoreciendo el CRP y las otras partes que, por supuesto, no consideran que no es el momento adecuado. Lo más importante, y fue el móvil que nos llevó a la presentación de este CRP, es que ya vivimos la primera etapa de asignación de fondos para la primera etapa de los KIP, y realmente los fondos aprobados son, porque todavía los estamos implementando, insuficientes para poderle dar respuesta a las demandas crecientes en un mundo tan difícil hoy, donde los precios son cada vez más altos, los fletes, los seguros, las formas, los proveedores. Es más difícil trabajar en este sentido, y por eso en las nuevas etapas de la reposición vemos que el reto va a ser aún mayor. Va a ser mucho más difícil, por lo tanto el tema de fondos, de apoyo tecnológico, de apoyo a la preparación de los recursos humanos que van a trabajar en nuestros sectores, tanto de refrigeración como otros sectores donde se emplean estos gases que discutimos acá, realmente van a ser tiempos muy retadores, y por eso es un tema que nos interesa seguir. De todas formas, estamos dispuestos a dialogar con las partes, con todas las partes que intervinieron, y por supuesto, si al final no hay un consenso para llevar adelante este CRP, no hay ningún problema. Lo interesante y lo más importante es que quede en el informe del evento y en los análisis de cada delegación de la necesidad que tenemos los países de bajo y de muy bajo consumo de contar con los recursos de todo tipo, los más necesarios para poder llevar a cabo el cumplimiento de la enmienda de Kigali. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for your flexibility, Cuba, and appreciate your willingness to engage with other delegations on this issue in the margins. I also recall from the intervention from Trinidad and Tobago the mention of the separate process underway in the Executive Committee for looking at the Stage 2 KIP funding guidelines. So that might be something also to keep in mind for delegates as they discuss this issue in the margin. So we will we'll close this agenda item for now, and we'll hear from you at the end of the meeting tomorrow on a potential way forward or thoughts on how to proceed. So thank you very much, Cuba. We now turn to, let me go back to my notes. We now turn to agenda item 8, and I turn to Igobi to lead that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annie. We turn to agenda item 8 on status of preparations for the 38th meeting of the parties to be held in Kigali. Parties will recall that through decision 3722, MOB 37 decided to convene MOB 38 in Kigali from 2 to 6 November 2026. MOB 38 will be held together with the 77th meeting of the Implementation Committee and a meeting of the MOB 37 Bureau, as well as other associated events. Parties will also recall that in decision 37.5, MOB 37 invited parties to submit to the Ozone Secretariat information related to the Centers of Excellence for Sustainable Cooling and testing centers for energy efficiency related to the implementation of the Kigali Amendment. We thank the 23 parties for the information they've provided in response to that request. The Secretariat is compiling the information received from the parties, and it is available on its website, and the link is on the screen. Before I open the floor for discussions, Rwanda had requested an opportunity to inform the parties on the progress on the arrangements for MOB 38. May I please call upon Rwanda, Ms. Pearl Nkusi from Rwanda, from the Rwanda Environmental Management Authority, to join us on the stage and make the presentation, which I believe has been made available to the Secretariat and will be projected. We will then, after her presentation, will take discussions. Welcome, Pearl. You have the floor.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Rwanda would like to thank the Kingdom of Thailand for their excellent hospitality and the Secretariat for organizing the open-ended working group session this week. Distinguished delegates, on behalf of the government of Rwanda, it is my pleasure to invite you to Kigali for the 38th meeting of parties to the Montreal Protocol. MOB 38, as our co-chair said, will take place from 2nd to 6th of November and will bring the Montreal Protocol community back to the city where the Kigali Amendment was adopted 10 years ago. For Rwanda, hosting MOB 38 is both an honor and a responsibility. It will be an opportunity for a celebration of what has been achieved while strengthening our collective commitment to implementation. Next slide, please. Second slide, sorry. At MOB 38, among other key negotiating items, we would like to see a strong replenishment of the multilateral fund, which has time and again demonstrated its effectiveness and return on investment to support the Montreal Protocol implementation. Second, we see the 10th anniversary as an opportunity to renew political momentum and strengthen implementation, including progress towards universal ratification of the Kigali Amendment. Finally, through several engagements, we want MOB 38 to strengthen partnerships between governments, implementing partners, industry, research institutions, finance providers, as well as the youth. Achieving the goals of the Montreal Protocol and Kigali Amendment requires all of us. So our message is simple. MOB 28 is where the amendment was agreed. we would like MOP 38 to be where we strengthen its implementation. Next slide, please. This week, during the week, we will have preparation and coordination meetings. As the co-chair mentioned, we will have the 77th Implementation Committee meeting, as well as coordination meetings. We'll have the MOP Bureau meeting as well. We will have formal sessions of the meeting of parties, technical negotiations from the 2nd to the 4th on the high-level segment on the 5th and 6th. We will have several associated events that will take place, opportunities to experience Rwanda and learn from national and regional cooling initiatives. Next slide, please. So we will have a workshop to mark the 10th anniversary of the Kigali Amendment, which is being organized on the 1st of November, to mark 10 years of progress under the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. The workshop will be hosted at the Africa Center of Excellence for Sustainable Cooling and Cold Chain, which we like to call ACES. The Secretariat has offered to prepare a concise Kigali Amendment 10th anniversary briefing note outlining the achievements, challenges, and future opportunities associated with the first decade of the Kigali Amendment. Further details on participation, timing, and transport to ACES will be included in the final program. We also have a plan to have an industry innovation exhibition at ACES. The ACES exhibition will showcase practical technologies, programs, and partnerships supporting sustainable cooling and cold chain development. It will create a space for governments, implementing agencies, researchers, manufacturers, technicians, investors, and development partners to exchange knowledge and identify opportunities to cooperate. So we encourage parties and partners to engage actively with us leading up to this exhibition in order for us to build new implementation partnerships. We will also have a reception hosted by the government of Rwanda, and this reception will showcase our country's culture and hospitality while also creating a space for you to network and build new relationships. Next slide, please. Africa is proposing a declaration that will capture the political spirit and forward-looking ambition of MOP 38. This declaration is intended to celebrate our successes over the past 10 years and reaffirm our shared commitment to the Montreal Protocol. Key objectives of this declaration mainly include celebration of the last decade of the Kigali Amendment, reinforcing the multilateral fund as a proven mechanism for compliance, among other objectives. We really call upon parties to co-sign and join Africa on this declaration. Next slide, please. Rwanda would like to thank the Secretariat for continued collaboration and support that they have offered to us as we prepare for MOP 38. In this spirit, I'm pleased to inform parties that a dedicated MOP 38 portal has been developed to facilitate engagement and information sharing as we lead up to November. Through this portal, we warmly invite parties and stakeholders to submit case studies, celebrating the achievements of the past 10 years under the Kigali Amendment. These contributions will help us tell the story of what the amendment has delivered and inspire continued ambition for the decade ahead of us. Once finalized, the briefing note I mentioned and the declaration will be shared on the portal, and we encourage delegates to check the portal very regularly as the program develops. So for specific inquiries, please contact Rwanda. I will share an email, mop38@rema.gov.rw, for any other engagements or any other information that you may require from Rwanda. I thank you, Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, Pell, for the updates on the preparations. We will now open the floor for discussions, but we'll allow Pell to go back to her seat and we'll take the discussions from the floor. If there are any delegates wishing to take the floor for discussions, questions. I will take those now. I see on my list I have Cuba. I just wanted to give Rwanda 2 seconds to settle. Cuba, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señora copresidenta. Realmente agradecemos al representante del gobierno de Ruanda por toda la explicación que nos ha ofrecido. De manera general, cómo será la celebración del 10º aniversario en la hermosa ciudad de Kigali. Solamente trasladar en la necesidad de que la Secretaría del Protocolo, de conjunto con el gobierno de Ruanda, nos pueda ofrecer con el suficiente tiempo todos los detalles logísticos que vamos a necesitar las delegaciones para llegar a Ruanda y para podernos alojar en Ruanda, toda la información necesaria, sobre todo con el tiempo, porque tenemos que, por supuesto, estar involucrados en procesos de visado, en procesos de tickets aéreos, o sea, una serie de elementos logísticos para poder asegurar nuestra presencia en Ruanda. Muchas gracias, señora copresidenta.
Thank you very much, Cuba, for the intervention. Are there any other delegates wishing to take the floor? Senegal, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la coprésidente. Je voudrais, au nom du Sénégal, féliciter le Rwanda pour toutes les dispositions qui sont en train d'être prises pour assurer une bonne organisation de la prochaine MOP et surtout accueillir favorablement la proposition qui a été faite de proposer une déclaration sur la protection de l'atmosphère. En effet, après 10 ans de mise en œuvre de l'amendement de Kigali, il nous semble que l'heure est venue de faire le bilan de nos succès et de nos échecs pour mieux nous projeter vers l'avenir. Et la MOP de Kigali nous offre cette opportunité. En tant que région ayant accueilli l'adoption de l'amendement de Kigali en 2016, l'Afrique est particulièrement fière des réalisations remarquables du protocole de Montréal et de son amendement de Kigali dans la protection de la couche d'ozone et leur contribution significative à l'atténuation des changements climatiques. Le groupe africain que j'ai l'honneur de présider se félicite en particulier de l'accent qui est mis dans la déclaration sur la question de la ratification universelle et la mise en œuvre effective de l'amendement de Kigali, le renforcement du fonds multilatéral, la lutte contre le commerce illicite, l'amélioration de l'efficacité énergétique, la promotion du refroidissement durable et l'élargissement de l'accès à des technologies abordables et respectueuses du climat. Pour notre continent, le refroidissement durable constitue à la fois une priorité environnementale et un impératif de développement. L'accès à des solutions de refroidissement abordables et efficaces est essentiel pour la santé publique, la sécurité alimentaire, la résilience économique et l'adaptation aux défis croissants liés aux vagues de chaleur sur le continent. Notre groupe réitère l'importance également du soutien financier et technique adéquat et prévisible afin de permettre aux parties visées à l'annexe 5 de mettre pleinement en œuvre leur engagement au titre de l'amendement de Kigali et d'en examiner les bénéfices climatiques et de développement. À l'occasion du 10e anniversaire de l'amendement de Kigali, le groupe africain réaffirme son attachement au multilatéralisme, à l'équité et à une action fondée sur la science pour relever les défis atmosphériques mondiaux. Le groupe africain exprime donc son plein soutien à la déclaration du Rwanda, encourage toutes les parties à se joindre à cet effort collectif visant à renforcer la protection de l'atmosphère et à promouvoir un refroidissement durable pour tous. Nous continuerons naturellement à travailler de manière étroite avec le Rwanda et tous les autres groupes régionaux pour apporter toutes les améliorations nécessaires en vue de son adoption à la MOP 38. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Senegal. I now give the floor to Bahrain.
شكرا سيدتي الرئيس المشاركة، وأود بكل اعتزاز حقيقة أن أتقدم نيابة عن هذا الوفد إلى راوندا حكومة وشعبا على هذا العرض المميز والجميل، والذي وضعت فيه الكثير من الجهود الواضحة والمميزة لتسهيل اجتماع الأطراف في بروتوكول مونتريال. وإنني لا أنسى بكل اعتزاز أيضا الأسبوعان الجميلان اللذين قضيناهما قبل 10 سنوات أثناء التفاوض قبل النجاح في الوصول إلى تعديل كيغالي. هذا البلد الجميل قد أثبت لنا بكل جدارة أن لديه حسن إدارة وتنظيم لاستقبال واستضافة مؤتمر بهذا الحجم والتفاوض على أمور سياسية وفنية حساسة بكل اقتدار. كما أستذكر في ذلك الوقت وزير البيئة رحمه الله الذي كان حاضرا معنا صباحا ومساء وليلا لإنجاح المفاوضات القائمة والتي استمرت في يومها الأخير لمدة 24 ساعة، وكان حاضرا معنا في كل ذلك الوقت. كما أستذكر رئيس الدولة الذي حضر أثناء الاجتماع وشارك معنا رؤاه ودعم هذه الوفود للوصول إلى اتفاق، وهو ما حصل في النهاية بنجاح تعديل كيغالي. كما أستذكر بكل اعتزاز جمال ذلك البلد وشعبه الودود والأمان الذي لاقيناه، حيث كنا نخرج في أوقات متأخرة بعد 11 و12 ليلا بعد انتهاء المداولات، ونبحث عن مكان للراحة والأكل فنجده متاحا ومرحبا وبأمان كامل، وهذا مدعاة لفخرنا جميعا. وبناء على كل ذلك فإن هذا الوفد يسعد جدا بأن يشارك الوفود الأخرى وراوندا في حضور اجتماع الأطراف، مع الأخذ بالاعتبار الوضع الصحي الموجود في بعض المناطق والتي قد يؤثر على مشاركة بعض البلدان، ولا نعلم إن كان الوقت سيسعفنا ويدركنا للوصول أثناء وقت المقترح لإنعقاد اجتماع الأطراف سيكون ملائما لذلك أم لا. ولذلك أحب أن أطرح هذا الأمر للتداول هنا والاستماع كيف سنمضي قدما. شكرا سيدتي الرئيسة المشاركة.
Thank you very much, Bahrain. I have on my list Kenya, Nigeria, and Cameroon. I will give the floor now to Kenya.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Kenya supports the statement made by Senegal. We also thank the government of Rwanda for the update on the preparations for the 38th meeting of the parties to be held in Kigali. Kenya appreciates the continued efforts by the Secretariat to facilitate the successful organization of Montreal Protocol meetings and welcomes MOP 38 being hosted in Rwanda, where the Kigali Amendment was adopted 10 years ago. We encourage the continued consideration of such hosting opportunities as this promotes inclusiveness and strengthens and enhances engagement of parties in the implementation of the Montreal Protocol. Kenya congratulates Rwanda on hosting the 38th meeting of the parties and looks forward to a successful and productive meeting in Kigali. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, Kenya. I give the floor now to Nigeria.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Nigeria thanks the Secretariat for the update on the preparations for MOP 38 and appreciate the government of Rwanda for the progress made towards the preparation of the meeting. We are encouraged by the preparations underway and look forward to a successful and well-organized meeting of our party in Kigali. Nigeria stands ready to work constructively with all parties to ensure a productive MOP 38. We thank Rwanda for its effort and wish the host country every success in the remaining preparations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nigeria. I have Cameroon and South Africa on my list. I give the floor now to Cameroon.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. We want to join our voice to that of Senegal and representing the African group of negotiators to salute Rwanda for this wonderful initiative and its preparation. It's quite interesting to know that this is exactly where it all started. And we're looking forward to see how we're coming back to this place. I don't want to repeat what the colleague of Rwanda said, but I want to reiterate one issue. I used to remember my minister always telling me about this. I am talking about His Excellency Heli Pierre, that they had to spend the whole night trying to reach agreement. It's a wonderful experience with him. And we're looking forward to see that he is still there, coming back to see where it all started, to come and celebrate again the 10th anniversary, and to see how the implementation has gone right up to the 10 years implementation. We all stand with Rwanda to see how this preparation, everything works out. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Cameroon. South Africa, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair, and good morning. We also would like to add a voice to the parties that went ahead of us in congratulating Rwanda with regards to the preparations to host MOP 38 so far. We gladly recall MOP 28 10 years ago, the hard work that all of us put in there in making sure that we do have the current Kigali Amendment. We also would like to support the proposed declaration by Rwanda as it focuses on how we move forward in making sure that the Kigali Amendment is indeed implemented and the benefits for the ozone and climate that we're looking forward to are realized. So thank you so much and congratulations, Rwanda. We are certainly looking forward to coming to your beautiful country, and we know you are a good host. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa. I have two more requests for the floor from Switzerland and Egypt. I'll first give the floor to Switzerland.
Thank you very much. We would very much like to thank Rwanda for inviting us back to this place in Kigali where 10 years ago one of the most remarkable successes from the Montreal Protocol came to an end. I do not pretend to have the same eloquence of some of the speakers before that very kindly reminded us of this very, very special moment that we had. So I just would like to echo this very, very deep emotions that connect us to this moment in Kigali. With regard to the declaration that is being prepared, we are also very curious and very happy that this effort is being done by Rwanda. We appreciate and welcome that it will be a forward-looking and ambitional declaration, and we would be very grateful if the wording and the formulation of this declaration is, if we could share this soon also to our high-level policymakers back home to give them the opportunity to fully appreciate the ambition and the forward-looking spirit of the declaration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Switzerland. I give the floor now to Egypt.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair. And this delegate also would like to join our distinguished delegate who speak before, and I do not want to echo or repeat all the congratulations that they provide. Thanks to the Rwanda government for inviting us again and to refresh our memory about those past 10 years and to keep the momentum and looking for more success. We support the all the arrangement that has been announced by the distinguished delegate of Rwanda, and we are ready and we are pleased to provide our support to Rwanda and to all parties to ensure the success of the MOB 38, and we're looking forward to meet all of you in the nice and the beautiful country and beautiful city of Kigali. Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, Egypt. We have a request for the floor from Togo. Togo, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Nous joignons également nos voix à nos prédécesseurs pour remercier la délégation rwandaise pour la présentation détaillée de l'état d'avancement des préparatifs de la 38e réunion des parties au protocole de Montréal. Nous saluons les efforts considérables déjà déployés par le gouvernement rwandais afin d'assurer une organisation à la hauteur de l'importance de cette réunion. Les informations qui viennent de nous être présentées témoignent de l'engagement du Rwanda à offrir aux parties les meilleures conditions pour les échanges fructueux et des résultats à la hauteur de nos attentes. Le Togo exprime sa pleine confiance dans la capacité du Rwanda à accueillir avec succès cette importante rencontre et lui réaffirme son soutien. Nous souhaitons d'ores et déjà plein succès au gouvernement rwandais et nous réjouissons de nous retrouver à Kigali pour cette importante réunion. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Togo. I have a request for the floor from Sierra Leone and Myanmar. If there are any other delegates wishing to take the floor, please indicate. Sierra Leone, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. As you are taking the floor for the very first time, I want to say thanks to the government and the people of Thailand for such a hospitable time we have had in their city, and also to say thank you to the Secretariat for a distinguished, planned, and well-executed meeting of the OEWG 2026. Let me join my colleagues, countries that have extended their best wishes to Rwanda. I must say, I seated here, may not have witnessed the initiation of the Kigali Amendment, but we have lived within the spirit and we are sensing what will happen in the years to come. I believe as we reset our thoughts, our actions, and our priorities in the 10th anniversary, we know that Rwanda will be a city that the retreat will bring us good tidings in the years to come. Let me join my colleagues to congratulate Rwanda again and to say we look forward to a successful event come the 10th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sierra Leone. I will be giving the floor to Myanmar, and then after that, I don't have any further requests for the floor. We'll then give the floor to Rwanda for reflections, but for now, I give the floor to Myanmar.
Thank you so much, Madam Co-Chair. This is first time for Myanmar to take an innovation. So Myanmar would like to congratulate and thank to the government and people of Thailand and Ozone Secretariat. We also would like to fully appreciate the Rwanda's effort and support the proposal by the Rwanda. We are happy to have an opportunity to come to such beautiful and original land of the Kigali Amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Myanmar. So, having listened to the interventions from the delegations, there was support to Rwanda. It's not me, I promise. So there was general support offered to Rwanda, and also some intervention mentioned having information available well in advance, such as travel arrangements, such as the interventions raised by Cuba. I would now like to turn to Rwanda to reflect on the issues raised by the delegates, such as one on the declaration and health issues. I give the floor now to Rwanda.
Yes, thank you so much, Co-Chair. We would like to express our sincere thanks to the AGN Chair, distinguished colleagues from Kenya, Nigeria, Cameroon, South Africa, Egypt, Togo, Sierra Leone, Cuba, Bahrain, Switzerland. We thank you so much for your continued support, your trust in Rwanda to organize and make sure that we have a successful MOP 38 in November. I will address the concern or the encouragement from Cuba to have an information note, to have something together regarding the logistics and what is required, especially visas and travel arrangements. We are working very closely with the Secretariat and finalized an information note that will be shared with you on the official platforms so that everything is in order well ahead of time. Thank you so much, Bahrain, for your expression of concern and requesting for us to address this. Regarding the debt, we assure you that the government of Rwanda has taken and always takes all necessary measures to ensure that nothing will affect what we commit to organize, in this case, MOP 38 activities. We will continue to work with the Secretariat and ensure that this is so. We will share, as the AGN chair said, the African Declaration, and look forward to you joining us. This is addressing the concern on the declaration from Switzerland. We thank you for your support and look forward to you joining this African Declaration, and we'll continue to engage with you after OEWG. Thank you so much, Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, Rwanda, for those reflections. With that said, our proposal is to close this agenda item on the understanding that Rwanda will continue to collect information from parties and work with the Secretariat to give updates through the portal on the arrangements. I hope that is an agreeable way forward. I see no request for the floor, so I take it that is agreed. Thank you very much. I will now hand over the floor back to my co-chair for the next agenda item.
Thank you very much, Igobi, and very delighted to hear all the excellent preparations underway for the meeting of parties in Kigali. We now turn back to agenda item 9. Delegates will recall that there were 3 issues raised under agenda item 9, and we have addressed one of them. We now turn to the other 2 agenda items. The next agenda item we're going to consider is the implementation of paragraphs 2 and 4 of Article J of the Montreal Protocol in respect of Azerbaijan. The Secretariat had, before the meeting, issued a note on this issue, and indeed, at this meeting, Azerbaijan has submitted a CRP 6 for consideration. So I now turn to Azerbaijan to introduce CRP 6 and the issue as our starting point for discussions. Azerbaijan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Azerbaijan highlights the importance it attaches to global environmental cooperation and shared responsibility, and continues to address environmental challenges through constructive engagement in international processes, including within the global climate agenda. Since acceding to the Montreal Protocol in 1996, Azerbaijan has consistently fulfilled its obligations, including the successful phase-out of CFCs. At present, HCFC use is limited to servicing sector, with full phase-out planned by 2030 under national legislation. Following the entry into force of the Kigali Amendment for Azerbaijan, 22nd of February 2026, Article 2J of the Montreal Protocol became applicable to Azerbaijan. At this stage, practical implementation issues have arisen, given that the amendment was adopted 10 years prior to its entry into force for Azerbaijan. As a result, Article 2J became applicable after the HFC phase-down framework had already commenced and the initial reduction steps had been operationalized. In this context, the implementation of Article 2J requires consideration of sequencing of control measures, given that the HFC phase-down obligations are to be undertaken in parallel with the completion of the HCFC phase-out activities through 2030 in Azerbaijan. These implementation issues include, among others, the establishment of HFC baseline, the development of regulatory frameworks and licensing systems, sectoral transition and planning, and technology choices. Azerbaijan recognizes that Article 2J establishes differentiated implementation pathways for HFC phase-down commitments, with the baseline methodology, including the HCFC component, designed to support a smooth transition while parties complete their HCFC phase-out obligations. The implementation of these provisions in specific national context has in practice been addressed by the meeting of the parties through its decision, including Decision 28/2. While that decision refers to specific parties, the underlying differentiation originates from Article 2G itself, and has been operationalized through decisions of the meeting of the parties. In this context, Azerbaijan noticed that implementation factors arising in its case are relevant to the mechanisms established under paragraph 2 and 4 of Article 2J of the Monroe Protocol. Considering the above, Azerbaijan's submission is aimed at ensuring clarity and consistency in the application of existing provisions of Article 2J in respect of Azerbaijan. The draft decision contained in the CRP has been prepared in line with the established practice of the Monroe Protocol, whereby parties address implementation matters through decisions. Azerbaijan remains open to any approach that parties may wish to consider for addressing this matter in a cooperative manner and achieving the necessary clarity regarding the implementation pathways under Article 2J in respect of Azerbaijan. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Azerbaijan, for introducing the issue and the CRP. I now open the floor for discussion on the CRP. Delegates wishing to intervene, please make your intentions known. I see Kazakhstan, you have requested the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Kazakhstan, as we all know, also on the path for ratification of Kigali Amendment, and we believe that proposal of delegation of Azerbaijan is deserved consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kazakhstan. Are there any other delegations wishing to take the floor? Canada, you preempted me.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. And well, first of all, congratulations to Azerbaijan for having ratified the Kigali Amendment earlier this year. And we thank them for their CRP, which we noted is similar to a CRP that had been submitted by Azerbaijan in 2019. I think that in considering the application of paragraph 2 and 4 of Article 2J, we have to remember that in the context of the negotiations on the Kigali Amendment at the 20th meeting of the parties, the way that these paragraphs were applied were essentially through the self-identification of parties at the time of the adoption of Decision 28.2 and the Kigali Amendment. So there were no actual criteria that were developed to determine how to apply, these paragraphs as opposed to the paragraphs that pertain to other non-Article 5 parties under the Kigali Amendment. Under these specific paragraphs, a few parties that identified themselves at the time were provided with a slightly different formula for the baseline and slightly targets for the first reduction targets were somewhat less than for other parties. But again, since this was really based on the request by the parties themselves, we don't have a way to be able to determine whether these particular phase down schedule should be applied to Azerbaijan. We would like to better understand their situation in order to be able to determine a justification for applying these paragraphs in this case. We think that, you know, we need a strong justification, and looking at the preambular paragraphs and also the intervention from Azerbaijan, there may have been some points that were misunderstood, but we didn't really understand how the current situation you know, means that they need to follow this particular phase-down schedule rather than another. So we're not opposed to this proposal at all. We just want to make sure that we have never sort of taken a decision in this body of which phase-down schedule should apply to which parties. It's since the Kigali Amendment. I mean, that was the time on the other 28th party when these decisions were made. So we just want to be careful that we do it in the most appropriate way and judicious way possible. One thing that we do note is that the other parties that for which this particular paragraphs apply have traditionally been parties that have been in a similar situation to Azerbaijan in terms of their status as non-Article 5 parties that don't necessarily have the same level of capacity of other non-Article 5 parties and therefore have received assistance from the Global Environmental Facility. We know that these other parties, not all of them, but most of them are covered by these paragraphs. So we do see some similarities there, but that in itself, you know, may not be sort of a sufficient justification. So we think more discussion is needed on this issue, and we'd like to have more conversation with Azerbaijan and other interested parties to try to see if we could build a strong rationale for this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Canada. I have one more country on my list, which is the United States. If any other country would like to intervene, please let us know. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair, and thanks to Azerbaijan for this proposal, and our congratulations on ratifying the Kigali Amendment. Also to express appreciation for we had a margins discussions with Azerbaijan yesterday, which I think was also helpful in our understanding of the proposal. Our reflections on this proposal, I think, are very similar to those just articulated by Canada, so I won't repeat those. Maybe I would just make a couple quick points to say. First, we are open to this proposal and to considering it. At the same time, I think we would like to understand a little bit better, and perhaps in informal margins discussions, a little bit more exactly what the rationale is or the underlying case for this request. We are open on it. At the same time, I think we would like to, in the margins, have a little bit better understanding of, for example, some of the numbers of how this does affect their baseline, what the current consumption levels are, and sort of how this change perhaps alleviates a concern that Azerbaijan may have about complying with the existing schedule. And I just say that to be honest, you know, so we went in to the data center and in looking at the HFC consumption for Azerbaijan, the data in the data center is a little bit confusing. Is just maybe, I won't go into detail. It's negative. So I think it's, listen, we appreciate the proposal. We're very happy to discuss it, suggest we do so informally on the margins. But I think we would just like in a more detailed way to understand some of the specifics here, and we're very, very happy to give it consideration at this meeting and moving towards the MOP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, US. On my list, I have European Union and Bahrain, and then I will suggest a way forward. EU?
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. We thank the distinguished representative for Azerbaijan for introducing the paper and the explanations, but I guess to some extent our reflections are similar to the two previous interventions. We don't fully understand, you could call it the need for what is contained in the paper, and in that way better understanding would be needed. We do note that in a way it comes quite late, the request. We note that it's, one revisits something that has been asked before, but still that has been a considerable time since. We also note that from 2029 onwards, the control schedules for the relevant groups converge. So to be honest, there's a bit of the question, even if one would pass the decision, what would be the practical effect? And that does relate to the questions on, what are the challenges that Azerbaijan has in the context of implementing the phase-down schedule. We note that the protocol foresees also other ways how parties can address challenges related to implementations, for instance, including asking for assistance in the implementation committee with a view of providing targeted guidelines. So in that context, we are cautious in revisiting obligations that have already been agreed by parties under the protocol. Thank you.
Thank you very much, EU. Finally, I have Bahrain. You have the floor.
شكرا سيدة الرئيس المشاركة، وأشكر الزميلة مندوبة أذربيجان على تقديم هذه الورقة، ويدعم هذا الوفد مطلب أذربيجان بعد الاستماع بعناية إلى الشروحات والتوضيحات التي تفضلت بها، ونرى أن مساعدة البلد في تحقيق مصالحه المتعلقة بالنمو والاستمرار أمر مهم جدا، ولا نرى أنه تحول بحسب ما هو مقرر ممكن أن يؤثر بشكل سلبي بشكل أو آخر، فهو أمر متاح وممكن ومقبول، وعليه هذا الوفد يدعم المطلب الذي تفضلت به مندوبة أذربيجان. شكرا سيدة الرئيس المشاركة.
Thank you very much. I see Uzbekistan wishing to take the floor. I'm going to propose a way forward. Uzbekistan, did you want to intervene before I make that proposal?
Co-Chair, Uzbekistan fully supports the proposal put forward by Azerbaijan also. Thank you.
Very brief and appreciated. Thank you very much, Uzbekistan. So having listened to the interventions that have been made by the parties, we did hear some support from various countries for the proposal, but we also did hear some further clarifications and better understanding being needed. I also heard openness to the discussion, to the proposal, based on further and deeper understanding of the issues, particular issues facing Azerbaijan. So on that basis, I suggest that Azerbaijan talk particularly to Canada, the US and the EU in the margins, and try and develop that deeper understanding and come back and report to us tomorrow on the results of that, of those discussions. Is that an acceptable way forward for delegations? I see no objection, so that is how we will proceed. Thank you very much, everyone. I think we are now up to our very last agenda item, so I now turn to Igobi to cover that. Thank you.
Indeed, we are. Thank you very much, Annie. Parties will recall that another item was added on other matters on Monday when we adopted the agenda, and this was related to N2O. I now turn to Lesotho to introduce the matter. Lesotho, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Actually, the proposal accrued from Annex 1 of the Vienna Convention that defined nitrous oxide as one of the ozone-depleting substances. The other issue is that 2022 quadrennial assessment report by SAP also have shown that there's a very high increase of NH2O, which of course causes a threat to the stratospheric ozone. So actually the RCRP requested the parties to allow the report or the assessment by SAP and TIP in terms of the effect and the trends of these substances. However, as we discussed during the margins within African group, we have decided that for now, or for this year, we suspend the submission of the CRP because they said they need to have more consultations, hoping that the CRP will come back, maybe at the MOP or OEWG next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lesotho, for the introduction of the matter. I see Bahrain is requesting the floor. Bahrain, you have the floor.
شكرا سيدتي الرئيسة. وفي البداية أود أن أشكر ليسوتو على مقترح سحب ورقة العمل، ونرى أن هذا قرار صائب، ولكن أود أيضا أن أقدم ملاحظاتي ومشاغلي في هذا الأمر، خصوصا أننا سمعنا أنه هناك إمكانية لطرح الموضوع مرة أخرى، وبالتالي أود أمام هذه الوفود المحترمة أن أقدم ملاحظات مملكة البحرين، وأؤكد أن هذا الأمر تشاطر معي فيه العديد من الوفود. هناك قلق بالغ إزاء أي محاولة لطرح مناقشات قد تؤدي بصورة مباشرة أو غير مباشرة إلى فرض التزامات جديدة تتعلق بأكاسيد النيتروز N2O في إطار بروتوكول مونتريال. إن بلدان المادة الخامسة منخرطة حاليا بشكل كامل في تنفيذ تعديل كيغالي الذي يعد أحد أكثر الالتزامات البيئية العالمية طموحا، وتبذل هذه البلدان موارد مؤسسية وتقنية ومالية كبيرة للوفاء بالتزاماتها المتعلقة بتخفيض مركبات الHFCs، بالتوازي مع استكمال ما تبقى من أنشطة التخلص التدريجي من مركبات HCFCs، وإن طرح توقعات أو توجهات سياسية جديدة في هذه المرحلة من شأنه أن يفرض عبئاً غير مبرر وغير متناسب على بلدان المادة الخامسة. إن البروتوكول مونتريال ولاية واضحة ونطاقاً محدداً ومتفقاً عليه، ورغم أن أكسيد النيتروز قد تكون له آثار بيئية، فإن مصادره الرئيسية ترتبط بالأنشطة الزراعية واستخدام الأسمدة، كما أن إدارته تثير قضايا معقدة تتجاوز بكثير نطاق هذا البروتوكول، ولذلك فإن هذه المسائل ينبغي أن تناقش وتعالج ضمن الأطر والاتفاقيات الدولية المختصة التي أنشئت خصيصاً للتعامل مع قضايا تغير المناخ وغيرها من القضايا البيئية ذات الصلة، وليس في إطار بروتوكول مونتريال. وإن أي محاولة لتوسيع نطاق بروتوكول مونتريال يشمل أكسيد النيتروز أو غيرها من شأنها أن تؤدي إلى تحويل الموارد المالية المحدودة والخبرات الفنية والقدرات المؤسسية بعيداً عن التنفيذ الفعال للالتزامات القائمة بالفعل بموجب البروتوكول وتعديل كيغالي. وعلاوة على ذلك فإن أي قيود تفرض على أكسيد النيتروز وغيرها قد تترتب عليها آثار اقتصادية واجتماعية كبيرة، ولا سيما بالنسبة للبلدان النامية. فالقطاع الزراعي يمثل ركيزة أساسية للأمن الغذائي وسبل العيش في المناطق الريفية والتنمية الاقتصادية في العديد من بلدان المادة الخامسة. وإن اتخاذ تدابير قد تؤثر على استخدام الأسمدة دون مراعاة الظروف الوطنية لكل بلد قد يؤدي إلى زيادة تكاليف الإنتاج الزراعي وانخفاض الإنتاجية وفرض أعباء إضافية على المزارعين، بما ينعكس سلباً على الأمن الغذائي والقدرة الاقتصادية لهذه البلدان. لقد استمد سيدتي الرئيسة بروتوكول مونتريال نجاحه على مدى عقود من وضوح ولايته وتركيزه المحدد واعتماده على الأساس العلمي وإطاره التنفيذي المتوازن والقابل للتنبؤ. ومن ثم ينبغي الحفاظ على هذا النهج بدلاً من توسيع نطاق البروتوكول ليشمل قضايا تعالج بصورة أنسب في أطر واتفاقيات دولية أخرى. وعليه فإن هذا الوفد لن يدعم الآن أو مستقبلاً أي مقترحات من شأنها استحداث التزامات جديدة أو توقعات إضافية أو مسارات عمل تتعلق بأكسيد النيتروز أو غيرها ضمن إطار بروتوكول مونتريال. ويجب أن تظل أولويتنا هي التنفيذ الكامل والفعال للالتزامات التي وافقت عليها الأطراف بالفعل، وفي مقدمتها تعديل كيغالي، قبل التفكير في أي توسع يتجاوز الولاية المتفق عليها لهذا البروتوكول. شكرا سيدة الرئيس.
Thank you very much, Bahrain, on the intervention. I have on my list Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor.
شكرا السيدة الرئيسة المشاركة. يشكر وفد المملكة العربية السعودية دولة ليسوتو على حرصها على استمرار حماية طبقة الأوزون. وتأييدا لمداخلة مملكة البحرين الشقيقة، فإن وفد المملكة العربية السعودية لا يؤيد تكليف فريق التقييم العلمي ولجنة التقييم التقني والاقتصادي بإعداد أي تقارير بشأن أكسيد النيتروز، لكونه يمثل توسعاً في الولاية التأسيسية للبروتوكول يتجاوز نطاق المواد المدرجة أصلاً ضمن ملحقاته، ولوجود ازدواجية في الاختصاص مع الالتزامات الدولية الأخرى القائمة بموجب اتفاقية باريس واتفاقية الأمم المتحدة الإطارية بشأن تغير المناخ. إضافة إلى ذلك ما يشكله هذا التكليف من عبء إضافي على فرق التقييم في ظل أولويات قائمة ترتبط بالتقرير القادم لعام 2026 وملفات أخرى جوهرية. وعليه يرفض وفد المملكة العربية السعودية هذا المقترح ويرى أنه غير مناسب لبروتوكول مونتريال. شكرا السيدة الرئيسة المشاركة.
Thank you very much, Saudi Arabia. And without any, I don't see any request for the floor. With that said, I do see some requests for the floor. Okay. I was going to propose a way forward, but I see a request from Lesotho, Nigeria, Switzerland, and the European Union. I give the floor now to Lesotho.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Actually, if we check the nitrous oxide, in terms of emissions, it is more than twice the emissions that we are working on, which are the ODSs and other issues under the Montreal Protocol, in terms of their impact to the ozone. So if we are saying that now we are moving towards the climate change, but our issue here is the ozone, and hence why we are worried about ozone. That is why we are here. We could not be here if we are not worried about the status of ozone, about the impact on the ozone. Hence why we find it necessary, because if we are saying we are working on the small object to solve the bigger issue, but we are not working on the bigger issue to solve the equivalent bigger issue. So hence why we think at least we should have the information. We are not saying we wanted the parties to have the decision, maybe to work on the nitrous oxide, but just the study for SAP to say something to us globally, and then also tip to indicate to us in terms of scenario what are the potential issues. Because sometimes we might say we are not working on it at all, but in the long run, we don't know whether we are still going to have negative issues or we are going to have more negative issues in the future. So that is why it is, we think that in the long run, we should allow parties to work on this issue from A5, and then this issue come back on the table, and then we try to see on how to do it. Of course, it might happen that we don't cover all the sectors, but to some extent we find that somewhere, somehow, we feel that this ones at least we can help to decrease, or we can help to have more information on this issue, on how it works. Of course, we agree that there are a number of concerns. Even in the current implementation, there were still a number of concerns, and there will always be the concerns, but we shall see on how maybe we can be able to work towards understanding each other, or towards seeing on how we can make sure that the ozone layer is being protected. I salute, Madam. That's what I put.
Thank you very much, Lesotho. I see some requests for the floor. We have about 5 requests for the floor. But I'd also like to remind delegates that earlier on the intervention by Lesotho indicated they are withdrawing the agenda item from our list. So we'll propose, I have requests from Nigeria, Switzerland, European Union, United Kingdom, and the Russian Federation. We propose closing the agenda item and way forward in light of this, and propose a way forward in light of the comments that have just been made. That is the proposal, to close the agenda item and propose a way forward. Can, 1 minute, please, just 1 minute. Thank you very much for your understanding. So I did say there are some requests for the floor, but we also have a proposal on the way forward from the co-chairs. The proposal is to close this agenda item and leave it up to the parties to consider any way forward in light of comments made. And Lesotho indicated earlier that they may be bringing the issue at future meetings. So given that, we propose the issue can be taken up at future meetings if they wish, and also with the information as it becomes available. Is that an agreeable way forward, or do we have parties still wishing to take the floor? We still have requests for the floor, so I'll give the floor now to Switzerland. Switzerland, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your understanding of us wishing to still take the floor. Since the start of this conversation will be reflected in the report, we think that any delegation that was prepared to comment on this item should have the opportunity to have the words reflected in the report. So acknowledging that we will not go deeper into this discussion at this meeting, we would anyway thank the Lesotho for bringing up this matter. We do remember the executive summary of the assessment report, where various scenarios for the impact of control measures on total ozone column and radiative forcing of climate were presented. And N2O was highlighted as a playing field with major potential for the recovery of the ozone layer and mitigate climate change. So there we see some merit in taking up this information that was presented by our assessment panels to us. We are, of course, aware that N2O has various sources, mainly from agricultural, but also to some significant part from industrial sources. While we currently do not see agricultural sources under the scope of the Montreal Protocol, any reflection on industrial sources could profit from the experiences that have been built up within the Montreal Protocol, without yet speaking about expanding the mandate of the Montreal Protocol. So while we will not have at this meeting opportunity to explore in more detail the ideas that the distinguished delegate from Lesotho has already reflected on, we would very much like to have this conversation in the future and understand better the role that this body could play in this context. We don't think we should prematurely close this item, like, well, yes, at this meeting, but not close ourselves to future and discuss this more detail in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Switzerland. We have the European Union, Russian Federation, United States of America, and the United Kingdom. I'd ask that we be brief in the interventions because, as we said, the agenda item was withdrawn by the delegate that proposed it. I will give the floor now to the European Union.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I want to say also thanks that we still can make our remarks because we had indeed indicated that we wanted to speak. We have no problems with your way forward on concluding the topic. That is fine. We just wanted to note that it is N2O is an ozone depleting substance, and as such, we find it a topic that we should be able to discuss, and we understand that there can be interest in that. And in that way, I guess I appreciate that Lesotho is looking into this, and we would have been interested to hear their reflections, but I understand that will not be for this session. Just to also indicate that, of course, next year we have the quadrennial assessment reports, and be assumed that, of course, we will find additional information in that context. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the European Union, for the intervention. I give the floor now to the Russian Federation.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Российская делегация хотела бы проинформировать о том, что в европейском регионе уже 40 лет существует конвенция о трансграничном загрязнении воздуха на большие расстояния, и окислы азота – это один из первых протоколов по регулированию окислов азота, который был еще в 80-х годах в прошлом столетии взят на контроль европейскими государствами. И этот вопрос изучен со всех сторон. Вы можете просто ознакомиться с результатом деятельности более чем 40-летней этой региональной конвенции. И я могу только сказать, что там взаимосвязь, конечно, есть, но с тропосферным озоном, не со стратосферным. Конечно, желание изучить вопрос – это, в общем-то, хорошо, но, на наш взгляд, это действительно не имеет никакого отношения к нам. Вместо того, чтобы нагружать экспертов изучать этот вопрос, лучше взять и ознакомиться с тем, что уже изучено другими экспертами со всех сторон и досконально. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Russian Federation. We have a request from the United States of America, United Kingdom, Bahrain, and Qatar. Again, I would ask that you be very brief in your intervention, and of course, the interventions will be reflected on the report, but please be brief, and then we'll close the item. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Co-Chair. I will be brief just to say I'm not going to say anything about our policy position, but I do want to be clear on the process forward. We are fine with your suggestion of closing this out as it was withdrawn from by the proponent. I do want to be clear that we are not forwarding anything to the meeting of the parties, and I'm not sure I heard you clearly say that, but that is our understanding. And if so, we are comfortable with moving forward on that basis. We just want to be clear about it. That would mean that this topic, like any other topic, can be added to the agenda of future OEWGs or MOPs in accordance with the rules of procedure. So if you can just confirm that is the precise path forward, we are comfortable. Thank you very much, Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, United States of America. And indeed, I do confirm that it will not be forwarded to the MOP. It will be closed here, and any further inclusion will follow due process. Thank you. I give the floor now to the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Co-Chair. We thank Lesotho for raising this important issue. And while we understand a CRP is not going to be tabled at this meeting, we would still like to share our initial views on this important matter. We recognize that increasing nitrous oxide emissions have serious implications for the ozone layer as an ozone-depleting substance, as indicated by the Scientific Assessment Panel in their 2022 report. The UK therefore remains open to considering a science-led and evidence-based approach that helps parties better understand the issue as it relates to the protection of the ozone, while at this stage avoiding any presumption regarding future outcomes under the Montreal Protocol. Thank you.
Thank you very much, UK, and thanks for being brief. I give the floor now to Bahrain, followed by Qatar. Bahrain, you have the floor.
شكرا سيدتي الرئيسة المشاركة، واعتذر على أخذ الكلمة مرة أخرى، ولكن سمعت واستمعت بعناية إلى مداخلات الوفود المحترمين، ولقد عبرت في مداخلتي الأولى عن رأي مملكة البحرين ونهجها في هذا الأمر، وإني أتساءل لماذا يطرح هذا الأمر الآن؟ لماذا لم يطرح قبل 4 عقود؟ ألم يكن أكاسيد نيتروز موجودة؟ ألم تكن بنفس التأثير؟ ألم تكن مستنفذة طبقة الأوزون في ذلك الوقت؟ العلماء والخبراء الذين قدموا جميع المواد الواضحة واضحة الدلالة والقابلة والقادرة بالتنبؤ بها والمضي في التخلص منها أو الآن الخفض التدريجي لها، لم يلاحظوا في ذلك الوقت أن هذه المواد أيضا مستنفذة لطبقة الأوزون ويجب التخلص منها، أم أنها مفاجأة صدرت أو خرجت خلال الفترة الأخيرة فقط؟ هذا أمر محير وغريب. لذلك أرى اليوم ويرى هذا الوفد أن هناك تحديات حقيقية تواجه أولا بروتوكول مونتريال بجميع دوله، الدول المانحة أو الدول المادة الخامسة، حيث هناك صعوبات حقيقية حتى في تنفيذ تعديل كيغالي في بعض الالتزامات، ونحن نحاول أن ندلل الصعاب معا لنمضي قدما. إضافة مواد تقييد جديدة هي تحدي أكبر للبروتوكول ولنجاحات البروتوكول، وبالتالي هذا الوفد لا يرى أن طرح مثل هذا الأمر في هذا الوقت بالذات له معنى واضح وقابل إلى المضي فيه. وبالتالي كما ذكرت في مداخلتي الأولى، لا أرى أن هذا الوفد سيقبل لا الآن ولا مستقبلا المضي قدما في هذا الأمر. شكرا سيدة الرئيس.
Thank you very much, Bahrain. Qatar, you have the floor.
يود وفد دولة قطر أن يعرب عن تأييده لما تفضل به وفدا مملكة البحرين والمملكة العربية السعودية بشأن مقترح تناول أكسيد النيتروز N2O في إطار بروتوكول مونتريال، ونرى أن تكليف فريق التقييم بإعداد تقارير في هذا الشأن قد يمثل توسعاً في نطاق الولاية المتفق عليها للبروتوكول، إضافة إلى احتمال الازدواجية مع الأطراف والاتفاقيات الدولية المعنية بتغير المناخ. كما نؤكد أن بلدان المادة الخامسة تبذل جهداً كبيراً للوفاء بالتزاماتها القائمة، ولا سيما تنفيذ تعديل كيغالي واستكمال التخلص التدريجي من مركبات ال HCFC، ومن ثم فإن استحداث مسارات عمل جديدة في هذه المرحلة قد يشكل عبئاً إضافياً على مواردها وقدراتها المؤسسية والفنية والمالية. وعليه لا يؤيد وفد دولة قطر هذا المقترح، ويرى أن الأولوية ينبغي أن تظل للتنفيذ الكامل والفعال للالتزامات القائمة ضمن الولاية المحددة لبروتوكول مونتريال. شكراً سيدة الرئيس.
Thank you very much, Qatar. I have 3 more requests for the floor from Turkmenistan, Lebanon, and Syrian Arab Republic. Turkmenistan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. The delegation of Turkmenistan supports the position expressed by Bahrain. We also believe that as this issue doesn't fall within the current scope of Montreal Protocol.
Thank you very much, and especially for being brief. Lebanon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Lebanon as well aligns itself with the previous intervention delivered by my colleagues from Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. For Lebanon, this issue is not whether this proposal is maintained or withdrawn. Our concern lies in the broader principle of introducing new obligations under the Montreal Protocol. Article 5 parties already are undertaking significant efforts to implement the Kigali Amendment and the transition to low global warming potential alternatives. Strengthen institutional and regulatory frameworks. These commitments require a good financial and technical institutional resources already. So in this context, expanding the scope of the protocol to include N2O would introduce an additional layer and a time when parties are still focused on delivering the previous commitments that have already been agreed. We therefore believe that our priority should remain on the effective implementation of the protocol's existing obligations and to ensure that parties have the necessary support and resources to finish and successfully achieve them before considering any expansion under the protocol's mandates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lebanon. Syrian Arab Republic, you have the floor.
السيدة الرئيسة المشاركة، تود الجمهورية العربية السورية أن تتقدم بالشكر إلى وفد لوسوتو على مبادرته وعلى روح التعاون التي أبداها. نرحب بقرار سحب المقترح بما يعكس نهج الحوار والتوافق الذي يميز بروتوكول مونتريال. في الوقت ذاته نؤكد على أهمية التريث والدراسة المتأنية قبل إضافة أي مواد جديدة ضمن نطاق التزامات البروتوكول، لما قد يترتب على ذلك من تحديات فنية ومؤسسية ومالية قد تؤثر على فعاليته. كما نرى أن أي مناقشات مستقبلية حول أكسيد النيتروز N2O يجب أن تراعي ظروف دول المادة الخامسة، ولا سيما فيما يتعلق بالزراعة والأمن الغذائي، وأن تستند إلى تقييم شامل ودعم كاف للدول النامية. في هذا السياق يؤيد وفد الجمهورية العربية السورية مواقف المملكة العربية السعودية ومملكة البحرين ودولة قطر ودولة لبنان، مع التأكيد على أهمية التركيز على بناء القدرات ونقل التكنولوجيا وتحسين كفاءة الاستخدام للنيتروجين بدلا من فرض التزامات إضافية. وشكرا سيدة الرئيسة.
Thank you very much, Syrian Arab Republic. And we have two further requests for the floor from South Africa and Kuwait. I give the floor now to South Africa.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair. I'll be brief. We appreciate the position by Lesotho, where they have withdrawn the proposal for discussion at this meeting, and with an understanding that they will bring back the discussion in future meetings. We, as the delegation of South Africa, want to indicate that we are looking forward to discussions in the future, as nitrous oxide does have some elements of ozone depleting. So we certainly would look forward to Lesotho tabling in the future, so that we can be able to be given an opportunity to look into the possible impacts and what way forward we will take going forward. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you very much, South Africa. And finally, I hope, we have Kuwait. Kuwait, we have the floor.
شكرا سيدة الرئيسة. يطيب لي في مستهل لكلمتي أن أعرب عن خالص الشكر والتقدير لمملكة تايلاند على جهودها في حسن التنظيم وحفاوة الاستقبال. كما نتوجه بالشكر الجزيل لأمانة الأوزون على جهودها المخلصة في الإعداد لهذا الاجتماع. تؤيد دولة الكويت مداخلة المملكة العربية السعودية والبحرين وقطر الشقيقة، وتؤكد عدم مناسبة المقترح. شكرا سيدة الرئيسة.
Thank you very much, Kuwait. With that said, and with the withdrawal of the item by Lesotho, and we've heard all the interventions that came after that, this agenda item is now closed. Now would be a good time to break for lunch. But before we do that, I turn to my co-chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Igobi. We have now come to the end of our agenda, but that does not mean the end of our work. We actually still have a lot of work to do. We have been working with the Secretariat on preparing some contact group meetings for this afternoon, and they will be shortly displayed. There is a lot of work, so be prepared. The Secretariat has a short logistical announcement before we close the plenary for today. Can I pass to the Secretariat?
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Distinguished delegates, the provisional list of participants is now available on the meeting portal under the post-session tab. Please use the password displayed that is OEWG48 LOP, to submit any corrections to Betty Kamanga and Jacqueline Gitao by Wednesday, 22nd of July, and the final list will thereafter be posted by Friday, 31st of July. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. I now ask the Secretariat to display the list of contact groups for this afternoon. We have allowed some time for lunch to try and help sustain delegates through the work this afternoon, and we hope we have taken everybody's particular issues into account in the scheduling. So thank you very much for your time this morning. We will not convene plenary this afternoon. We will convene it tomorrow, so please keep an eye out on the boards for the timing of that. And we now close this session. Good afternoon, bon appetit, and good working. Thank you.